control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic, with your host Mark. Today I'll be covering an episode of The Night Gallery. This is season 3, episode 10. It's called The Ring with the Red Velvet Robes. This is one of those episodes where it's just one story. And of course, season 3 is a much shorter run, so we're talking sort of 23-24 minutes. This one was directed by Jenna Schwartz. Written by Robert Malcolm Young, which is interesting because this feels probably more Twilight Zone than Night Gallery in many respects. The nature of the story, maybe not some of the scenes in it, some of the action in it, but the story does feel very, very Twilight Zone. The main actors in it are Gary Lockwood, him from 2001, say, Chuck Connors, sort of an old actor who's been in loads of things, westerns, TV, from the late 60s and early 60s, and also Joan Van Ark. It first aired on January the 7th, 1973. Here we see the aftermath of a big fight where a certain guy, played by Gary Lockwood, has just won the world championship title. However, as he's sitting in his changing room, he sees the champ he's just beat, looking very beat up, telling him, "You're no more the true champion than I was." And then the man kind of disappears. He looks away, looks back, and he's gone. It's kind of Marley's Ghost. It's a Marley's Ghost kind of thing, because apparently this guy's in the surgery at the time he was seen, so that can't be a thing. So Gary Lockwood, interested, his name is Jim Figg, and they discuss him as like being the England's heavyweight champion. He's obviously not English. I don't know why they inserted the word England in here. It seems a bit silly, but that's what they did. Anyway, we'll bypass that. He has, and the next week we know he's in a kind of a luxury place with a butler attending him, things like that, and he doesn't understand where he is. And essentially, he finds out he's been transported somewhere else, and he needs to face this other man, this older man, whose name is Roderick Blanco. Sort of swanning around the set on the furniture, looking very languorous and trying to be being sexy, I should say, was Joan Van Ark playing Sandra Blanco, Blanco's wife, warning him, sort of saying, "No, you've got to fight the champion, and it's going to be in a few days," and stuff like that. And she's kind of saying, "You always have to fight him," and essentially, he kind of realises he has to fight. But Sandra Blanco kind of says, "Just lose. You can go back to your life. It'll be fine. Just lose." And he's like, "I've never thrown a fight in my life. I'm not doing that." I quite like this one. It doesn't, in the reviews, it's a lot of people don't seem to like this one. They feel it's a bit of a flop. I actually quite enjoyed it. It was quite a refreshing change up. As I say, it felt more like the Twilight Zone than the Night Gallery, which is interesting because Rod Serling really wasn't involved apart from giving the prologue, and speaking around the story. He really isn't involved in this one much at all. One thing I didn't notice about it, the music choices were a bit overbearing when they were happening. There's one section later where there's no music, which I think is very effective and probably better for it. In fact, let's just go into this. What happens is the fight does happen, but the fight is filmed in an interesting way. No music. It's got that weird sense of there's a fight going on, there's no crowd cheering or any sort of noise, it's just the sound of the men shuffling. Now, both of these men were fairly athletic, and I think Gary Lockwood could actually box, was a reasonably talented boxer, so that kind of gave it a sense of realism. This is the bit where I don't think you'd have had something like this in the original Twilight Zone. Maybe you would, I don't know. Or they may have edited it and filmed it slightly differently. Because maybe it's not that far away, I guess. But I found this sort of quiet quiet scene, just shuffling and the body hits and stuff like that. But in the end, Jim Figg does indeed win. But then there's the reveal, which isn't much of a reveal, to be honest. You kind of saw it come in. That this man, Roderick Blanco, was actually the first world champion in 1861 and has been fighting ever since. And no one's beat him up until now. And now Jim Figg is going to replace him. So he's kind of doomed to return. It's like a weird twist, not hell, but he's in a limbo now where he has to constantly defend his championship to the next comer. What happened to Blanco, don't know. But it does look like Jim Figg also gets Blanco's wife as a companion. So you feel like, why did he earn this? Why is this happening? It doesn't matter. The original story, written by Edward D. Hock, called The Ring with the Velvet Rose, not The Ring with the Red Velvet Rose. This was a non-supernatural story. I believe he was kidnapped. The champion was kidnapped and made to fight a man who believed he should be the champion, but didn't want to do all the, he wanted to. It was one of those mad people ones. But in this story, it's turned into a supernatural happening. I quite like this one. Schwartz quite likes it, apparently. But as I say, it kind of reviews like there's something wrong with it, or, it's just not a very good story. I disagree. I don't think this is a dud. I think it's quite a good story. Certainly for this stage in season 3 of The Night Gallery. So quite a strong recommend for me. I haven't really got much to say about it. It's a very, very straightforward story, so there's not really much to tell or talk about. There's some interesting other actors. The butler's kind of interesting. The ex-champion, who's played by Jitu Kumbaka, was pretty good. So there's some extra twiddles around this one. But yeah, not bad at all. I will leave it there. Before I go though, may I ask, is anybody out there?
I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to